let's talk about the Ben-Gvir video with the flotillas. That's how I call the people on the flotillas, the flotillas. That includes the flotilla boats themselves and the people on the boats. All of them are the flotillas. So when I say the flotillas, maybe I'm talking about the people on them, maybe I'm talking about the boats themselves. You're just going to have to guess. Maybe it means both. Anyway, Ben-Gvir is an idiot. He's a stupid, stupid person. That's okay because there are many stupid, idiot people across the world, across different backgrounds, races, cultures, religions, belief systems, languages, and so on and so forth. So it's okay for us to have our designated idiot. If you're using any designated idiot of any culture, race, creed, or people to generalize the people and speak against them, you yourself as well are an idiot. But we're not here to talk about the potential idiocy of you or of anyone else. Maybe you're brilliant. We are here to talk specifically about the idiocy of Ben-Gvir and the flotillas. Who am I to speak on the matter? My name is Morgainne. I am a born and raised Israeli, so I have the lived experience and the knowledge that most of you watching this probably do not. If you perceive watching things through a screen and developing an opinion based on what talking heads on the screen told you, I'm also a talking head. I recognize that. Everything I say, you can go and verify yourself by traveling to the land, by speaking to people who are relevant, and developing your own critical thinking based perspective that hopefully should be open to change when introduced with new information that possibly contradicts it, because that is a good way to be a wise person as opposed to being an idiot like Ben-Gvir. Now, I spent 2 minutes talking about idiocy and wisdom. Let's just go into this. So the flotillas have the video is bad. It looks bad. The video is bad. Let's break it down. The flotillas entered territorial waters and territorial land that does not belong to them. They are foreigners too, i.e., Israel. Israel told them, do not come here. You are not welcomed. Go away. Turn around. The flotillas did not listen. Now, it's important to know that the flotillas are not toddlers. Maybe sometimes they act and talk like toddlers, but they are grown adults responsible for their actions. With being told you are not welcomed here, the flotillas continued to enter without permission, breaking the law of the land, and breaking international law into a territory that isn't theirs to force themselves on. That is, drum roll, whether you like the flotillas or not, you can have the objective understanding of reality and of objective definitions. That is an invasion. It's adult flotillas invading a territory that isn't theirs, with the aim to push their agendas, their ideologies. Now, whether you agree with their agendas and ideologies or not, that's yours. Nonetheless, with the intent and the objectives of imposing their ideologies and their perspectives and their ways onto a land that does not want them. Now, we can have an entire discussion on whether their agendas are right or wrong. I think they are asinine wrong. They are, that's my perspective. You can have a different perspective. But let me give you the facts, because facts don't care about your feelings. So they're vocally, openly supported by Hamas, vocally and openly support Hamas, and funded by Hamas affiliates, which makes them, on top of invaders, and based on what I said in the past couple of minutes, colonizers, right? Because when you come into someone else's land, place, territory to enforce your ways, That is colonialism. So, on top of being invaders and colonizers, they are also terrorists. Now, once again, you can really, really love and admire, you personally, these flotillas, invaders, colonizers, terrorists. Maybe it's your thing. Maybe you're into all of these things, one of these things, and you're like, yeah, thankfully you're sitting there somewhere in the world and watching me through a screen, and I don't have to handle you personally in the street. But you think what you think. Okay, yeah, you support that. Still, you cannot deny the reality. Okay, revising reality and distorting reality in order to excuse your perspective. If you need to lie to push your truth, then maybe your truth is in and of itself a lie. But you can be a liar and you can be confused, or maybe I'm confused. Listen, all is possible. But bottom line, practice not warping reality to fit your preferences. By their actions, by their proven actions, this is not my opinion. This is not my accusation, and now I need to prove it. They've already done the deeds. By their actions, they are invaders, colonizers, and terrorists. So the reason so now maybe you're confused, but you said Ben-Gvir is an idiot and that the video was bad. Yeah, two things can coexist. Ben-Gvir is an idiot. He should not have done what he did. It was unwise. Certainly not to put it on camera. That makes him an idiot. But when it comes to what was done to them, based on everything we've just established, yes, that those acts were inappropriate. What would be appropriate objectively is if they were held accountable in the court of law, apprehended for invasion, colonialism, and terrorism. They got off really easy. I do not understand how they are not behind bars. And I think their own respective countries that they come from should also, ideally, if they have any brains in them, press charges against them for treason because they enact an act of war against another sovereign nation, which can result in retaliation. It can start a war. If people from Spain invade Israel and Israel says you cannot come here and are supported by terrorists who call for the annihilation of that country, that is an act of war. And that can, hopefully it won't, but it can, generally speaking, result in retaliation and in a war. So those countries, I think, should also be holding them accountable for treason. I mean, they won't because they're stupid. You know, Ben-Gvir is stupid. They are stupid. The flotillas are stupid. So it's just a party of stupid. Okay. But when we're talking about reality and facts and objective understanding of people's actions, they came off really easy. Just listening to the anthem in Hebrew. Oh, poor things, they have to listen to a song in Hebrew? The anti Semites who want all the Jews dead have to listen to Hebrew? How could you do that to them, Jew? I mean, last time when they did the same thing, they got sandwiches and have some fun and dances on the boat of Israeli boats. You're not giving them a party again? I think Israel should have never treated them like they're teenagers who are confused. They're not confused. That's actually disrespectful of them. They're adults. They're accountable for their actions. They have committed really horrid actions against moral, against another sovereign country, and against their own countries by risking them. So I think they got off really, really easy. The reason it's idiotic is because, well, everything that comes out of Israel, whether it's bad or good or wonderful or normal, will somehow be warped and vilified because, well, anti Semitism. If you don't understand the concept, if you think that couldn't be so bad, then consider that you are historically illiterate, theologically illiterate, geopolitically illiterate. It's been less than a century since the Holocaust, where an entire continent was like, extermination of people? Okay. Less than a century. Their children and grandchildren are still up and about, evidently. The flotillas. What, you think because they're dressed like hipsters and some of them are brown, then it means they're automatically saints? Every person, regardless of their color or of their gender and so on and so forth, is capable of good and is capable of evil. Taking away choice from someone based on their race is racism. No, but I'm flattering them. I'm saying they can't do no wrong. No, you're not flattering them. You're treating them as incompetent babies. That's very disrespectful. I heard one of the flotillas say, I'm an indigenous brown person in this country, minority. In Israel, most people are brown, which makes him not a minority, but a majority. In the Middle East, most people are brown. It just goes to show the depth of the delusion and of the obsession of being a victim. The thing that people accuse the Jews of, that's there. Tell me what you blame the Jew for, and I'll tell you what you are. The Jewish people literally complain when it's like almost nearly too late, if not already too late. It's just so fucking bad. We should complain more, actually, way earlier, before it gets this bad. But we don't because we don't like the whole victim thing. We really try, even if we're victimized, to not act like victims. It's positive when it comes to self empowerment and success and overcoming, but it has its cons as well because it means we don't freaking complain when we should. And then by the time we finally complain, you have people who are actually obsessed with being number one victim project their own obsession with being a victim onto us by gaslighting us. Hooray. So, do I think it was wise of him to do all that and put it on camera? No. Do I think it's evil? No. I think he's an idiot. I think they are idiots. I think it was just a party of idiots, idiot on idiot on idiot on idiot on idiot. And there you go. The world is happy for another opportunity to vilify Israel. But generally speaking, I no longer get overly amped up about, negative things coming out of Israel. First, because negative things come out of every country and every society. It's just the nature of humanity. It's the amount of it is insubstantial enough to be understood as people do things. But then when the media and the world choose to take those metonymies and make them those individual cases and make them a metonymy to the entire society, that's hate based. It's not just completely irrational, it's anti-Semitism. Okay, let's start associating Americans with all the fuckery that is happening in America. So every American that I meet now is what a serial killer, a mass shooter, a pedophile, like the fuckery in America and in other countries. Is that what we're doing right now? Because be careful what you do to someone else; it will then turn around against you. Don't do to another what you don't want to be done to you. If you're a society that doesn't want to be defined by the actions of individuals within it, don't define another society by the actions of certain individuals within it. That's just generally speaking. But the reason I don't get overly excited anymore and upset anymore is because I'm already exhausted. This is just exhausting. But also, specifically with Israel, aka the Jewish nation, i.e., the Jewish nation, It doesn't matter what we do. We can do the most saintly thing in the world and it somehow will get worked. Okay, I like to give examples and not just throw statements. So the best example I can think of in modern day, in modern warfare and in warfare, especially in modern warfare, the combatant to civilian death toll in war is 1 to 9. And when I say 1 to 9, I mean 9 civilians to 1 combatant. So it's extreme difference. Like in all wars, the overwhelming majority of casualties, and this is numbers that you can verify, okay? The overwhelming majority of casualties are of innocent civilians. And that's the standard within the framework of war. War is always ugly. War is always tragic. Every one individual who's innocent, let alone a child, lost to war is an absolute tragedy. I'm not speaking in terms of what's ideal or what's spiritually ideally right. I'm speaking within the framework of war, which the base foundation of it is tragic and terrible. So in relation to within that framework, the standard, the normal, is significant loss of innocent human life versus combatant. Now take the recent war in Gaza, with Gaza and Israel. From the 70,000 claimed Palestinian casualties, Hamas reported themselves to have paid 50,000 widows of Hamas 50,000 widows of Hamas, they've paid them money. So if there are 50,000 widows from this war, it means that 50,000 Hamas combatant members, terrorists, have died. 50,000 out of 70,000. That means more than like 2.5 to 1 combatant versus civilian. So to every one civilian casualty, 2 to 3, let's say 2, okay, to please you, 2 are Hamas terrorists. So not only did Israel reduce the number of casualties of innocent lives of civilians versus combatant, it completely flipped the ratio. Instead of more civilians, 9 times more, it's more combatant, twice more. By any objective measure and definition within the framework of warfare, it's a miracle. It can't be truly a miracle because still we have innocent people who've lost their lives. That's why I'm constantly emphasizing within the framework of war. It has set a completely new bar when it comes to the standard of war. Not only was it not acknowledged, let alone credited for that, or even mentioned, the entire media and the UN and the world, well, not all of them, just the anti-Semitic ones, reframed it as genocide and starvation. I mean, tell me an army that feeds their enemy. That's not normal conduct in warfare. The parties don't feed each other's parties. That's not a thing. The fact that it even fed them at all. So breaking every single standard of warfare, still accused in the most horrid of things. So that just goes to show you, Israel can do miraculous, incredible, positively historic things while still be accused of the absolute worst and warped into some sort of demonic behavior. So it really, at this point, it doesn't matter if something amazing comes out of Israel or something idiotic comes out of Israel. You'll find your way to vilify it. Either because you're bored and your life is failing and you're looking for someone to blame, or because your parents taught you that the Jews are the bad guy, or because your prophet taught you that the Jews are the bad guy because they wouldn't have them as their Messiah. And this applies to both Muslims and Christians alike, by the way. How many millions of Jewish lives lost by the past 2 millennia to both Christianity for accusing the Jews for not accepting Jesus as their Messiah, and Islam accusing the Jews for not accepting Muhammad as their Messiah. Literally, that's theologically, that's the core root of anti-Semitism, both from Christianity and from Islam. I have videos about anti-Semitism somewhere here in my channel. Look it up. Scroll, find the video for you. It's insane. And if you're a sane person who's thinking to yourself, how is that possible? So much ignorance and so much senseless hate. And you're thinking maybe I'm lying or exaggerating or too sensitive, or maybe the Jewish people are lying, exaggerating, or too sensitive. Your ignorance is not a measure for reality or for truth. Just consider that there's some things that you just don't understand and learn. This was a good start. Anyway, so the video was stupid. Ben-Gvir is, the actions in the video are stupid. Ben-Gvir is stupid. The flotillas are stupid. Um, and there's a lot of stupid people in the world. Okay. Okay. We'll do better maybe in the next century. Am Israel Chai. Subscribe if you like me.